Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm excited to share about Solar United Neighbor Nevada's policy priorities in the state legislature and Congress. Please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. I believe Jasmine is pinning a question for everyone to engage on. And in the meantime, just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have any questions, please just drop those into the chat and we'll do our best to answer or address them on the relevant slide. You can also enable closed captions by clicking more at the bottom right of your screen. Click Captions, then Show Captions, and select a language, and then click Save. And the last thing that I'll mention is that we are recording this webinar and we'll send out a recording after the session, probably tomorrow. So you can anticipate that in your inboxes. We'll give it just about one more minute for people to join and answer the welcome question. Well, let's get started. So first up, I would like to give a warm welcome to Kyle Davis, who is joining us from Pinion Public Affairs, as well as Jessica Ferrado, who's the president of the Ferrado Company. And we are grateful for their expertise with us tonight and glad to have them with us. And this is just a short overview of our time together. So I'll share a little bit more about Solar United Neighbors, and then we'll get into policy priorities, both in the legislature as well as what we're following at the Public Utility Commission of Nevada. And then we'll talk about solar policy at the federal level and finally get into some ways to take action and then wrap it up from there. But I'll start with just sharing a little bit about myself. So my name is Julia. I am the Nevada Program Director of Solar United Neighbors. I got started in this role last September, so I'm really excited to be in the clean energy space. And I'm based in Reno. I love getting outside as much as possible and enjoying Nevada's abundance of sunshine. And am looking forward to learning more as we continue in this work. All right, so a little bit about SUN. We are a national nonprofit and we are new to Nevada. We started this past year. And we, in a nutshell, help people go solar, join together, and fight for their energy rights. We got started with a simple question back in 2007, Mom, can we go solar? And since then, we've helped over 9,000 households go through that process through co-ops. We also work in 13 different states, plus Puerto Rico and DC, so we have a lot of breadth in terms of experience, and we're ready to engage at a local, state, and federal level to help advocate for rooftop solar. We have these three beliefs that everyone has the right to produce and use their own solar energy, that solar owners should be receiving a fair credit for the energy that they send to the grid, and finally, that solar owners should not be discriminated against any unfair utility fees that are put against them. All right, so let's get into the thick of things. The first bill that we are watching closely in the Nevada legislature is SB 132, the Clean Energy Investment Bill is what it's being called. And this is a bill to allocate $5 million for the Nevada Clean Energy Fund, which is Nevada's green bank. It's important to note here that NSEF received $1 million in state funding in 2023. And with that, we're able to secure nearly $200 million in federal grants and private capital. So they are doing incredible work. And this funding is there to help them continue to expand their impact and to address any gaps that they have so that they can deploy Solar for All funding as well as some of their other programs that they've received funding for. So we are all in support of this. A big part of what SUN does is try to increase solar access to folks. And so see this as just a really good investment, a smart investment for all of Nevada. And the impacts are pretty dramatic, right? We're going to see reduced energy costs for everyone because we know that when there's more solar out there, that is reducing the amount of costly infrastructure that our utilities are having to build out and then transfer those costs to ratepayers. I'm going to stop here and just see if we have any questions about SB 132, and also just see if Kyle or Jess want to share anything further. Yeah, any questions coming up in the chat?
No questions in the chat.
All right, well, we will just keep plowing along then. All right, the next bill that we are watching is AB 458, known as Solar-Powered Affordable Housing. And currently in Nevada, Nevadans living in multifamily affordable housing, renters, anyone who's living in something that's not single family housing cannot access solar energy. So this bill would change that. So rooftop panels can be added to individual metered buildings of regulated affordable housing projects. And the way that this would work is savings from one solar system would flow to multiple tenants through a process known as virtual net metering. This is really similar to net metering, which is what rooftop solar owners use currently. Savings will show up on a credit of tenants' utility bills, and that credit would be subtracted from the consumption that they're being charged for their energy consumption that month, if that makes sense. What's really important to note about this works hand in hand with the Solar for All funding that NSEF has received. That's $156 million for the state. And it's really important that this gets unlocked, you could say, in some words, because otherwise we're not going to be able to reach as many households and really capitalize on the impact of solar for all. And as a renter myself, I'm really excited about this opportunity because it's just increasing access to solar and allowing other people to reap those same benefits. We'll pause here and see if there's any questions. Great. While seeing none, there's always time to ask your question later. We'll just keep going. All right, AB 452, fuel cost sharing. So currently, utilities pass all of their fuel costs, so that's natural gas, coal, onto customers directly. They bear no financial risk when any price might spike, and there's really no financial incentive then for them to reduce those fuel costs. And so ratepayers are at risk to see really dramatic spikes on their utility bills. AB 452 would directly address this by requiring NV Energy to share financial risk of its fuel purchase decisions. And it would establish a really strong incentive system. So when fuel costs exceed established thresholds that the PUC sets, NV Energy would absorb a portion of those excessive costs rather than automatically passing them to ratepayers. But when the utility achieves saving through really smart purchases and diversification, maybe more solar rather than relying so heavily on natural gas, it would then retain a part of those savings as a reward for smart decisions and good management. And this would really protect consumers from dramatic bill fluctuations, which we've seen especially in the last couple of years. So we're really looking for more affordability from this bill, as well as stability in utility bills. So we'll take a moment here, see if there's any questions.
And Julie, I'll just add the important thing on this bill. I mean, it's where that risk actually rests. The utility will do everything it can to push that risk onto customers, and this is clearly one case where they say, well, we can't control the cost of fuel, so we shouldn't have to pay for that, but neither should customers. And this, actually balances that a little bit more and puts a little bit more of the risk on the owners of the company as well. So it's not just all on customers when those fuel costs go through the roof. So that's really what it's about, is just a little bit more fairness in how these rates are calculated.
Thanks for emphasizing that, Kyle. I appreciate that. All right. Well, the last thing I'm going to talk about is utility accountability. So this is one area that Sun really cares about across the nation, and we're especially concerned about it in Nevada as we move forward in the state. We really strongly believe in parameters, that utilities can spend money on advertising, charitable giving, and even political activities, but they just need to use investor dollars rather than ratepayer dollars. So we at Sun will support any legislation that really is looking at this concept, because we really want to be promoting transparency on how ratepayer funds are used, and protecting ratepayers so that things that don't benefit ratepayers are not being put on them, and that we can focus on delivering affordable, reliable energy to customers instead. Yeah, any questions about utility accountability? Great. Well, we are going to continue right along and look at the Public Utility Commission of Nevada. So some of you may be aware that there's been a new rate case filed. And the big thing about that rate case is there is a 15-minute netting charge rather than a monthly netting charge. So this is a huge change for solar owners, and would really impact the credit that people are seeing for the energy that they are sending to the grid, as well as affect that payback period for your system cost. So we are looking to mobilize on this and speak out. We see it as really an attack on net metering and an unfair change that the utility is proposing. Also within this rate case, they are proposing a demand charge, and demand charge are based on the maximum amount of power required over a single hour or another period of time in a given month. So the cost for that particular period would then be added to your utility bill, what you're already consuming, and any fixed bill charges that are already there. So this is an additional charge that customers and small business owners would be seeing on their bills. And this is not an effective way of managing peak demand, but we see it as just another opportunity for NV Energy to put profits over customers. So we are really going to be speaking out about this. Couple other things to note is that this they're seeking a $216 million rate increase. So this is a huge rate increase. And looking to raise their rate of return from 7.43% to 7.95%, as well as increasing their return on equity from 9.5 to 10.25. So we're not seeing a lot of customers in their thoughts for NV Energy, and we want to speak out about that. Kyle or Jess, would you like to say any more on this?
I think the biggest thing here, I know that engaging at the Public Utilities Commission can be a bit daunting, I think, but you give some great recommendations here. If you can sign up for alerts, there are consumer sessions that they provide on all of their dockets and rate cases. And so that's items that we can share in terms of engagement. I think consumer sessions for customers and citizens, that's the best way to engage, to share your concerns directly there. And so they keep to pretty tight timelines, and that's something that we can share with your members so that they know when those things are coming up and people can show up in person. There's also letters you can submit and things like that. So in terms of engagement, I know it's a little bit more daunting to figure out how to engage there, but there are easy ways to do it. And a lot of folks from the public do so.
Thanks, Jess. Yeah, you beat me to it. So please know that the best way to stay connected on all of this is to make sure and sign up for our updates on solarunitedneighbors.org. We will be engaging and want to make it as easy as possible for you to do so as well. And would love to chat with you more if that is something you are interested in. All right, so we're going to be moving into federal solar policy. And just before we continue, I just want to make sure there's no other questions that have cropped up about Nevada and any questions around the PUC or the legislature here in the state. All right, hearing none, we will continue to get right to it. So many of you have maybe heard that the Inflation Reduction Act is a policy that is under some attack right now in Congress. They're considering major cuts to it. Specifically, things that Sun cares about are that 30% residential solar tax credit that makes solar more accessible for folks, as well as direct pay, which allows for nonprofits to access that same tax credit. There's also the Rural Energy for America program. That's about a $1 billion program across the whole US, and it allows farmers and rural businesses to apply for grants and loans for energy efficiency and solar. And then finally, the Solar for All program, which we touched on a little bit earlier. We know that Nevada received $156 million, and that is slated to impact 20,000 households. So major impacts here, and we want to make sure that this funding is protected and is able to flow to those who really need it. We see this as a big part of our clean energy transition and want to be speaking out about it. So that's a little bit of the context, and Sun has a very particular strategy for defending these programs. We are trying to put pressure on key House and Senate Republicans, and do that by gathering solar owners and advocates to share their solar success story, how it has made an impact in their lives, the utility bill savings that they have been able to earn, and any other things that they want to uplift. We're also doing that through phone calls, letters to editors, op-eds, social media, emails, letters, pretty much all of the ways that we can use our voice, we are trying to. This is really the time to be active, engaged, and working to build a more equitable energy system. So speaking of key representatives, Representative Mark Amodei of Congressional District 2 is one of those key targets. He signed an August 2024 and March 2025 letter really asking that changes to the Inflation Reduction Act be thoughtful and intentional, and we are seeing him as a very important vote. So just a few things about him. He is the chair of the Homeland Security Subcommittee. He's from Carson City, former military, practiced law, and is the former president of the Nevada Mining Association and a member of the Conservative Climate Caucus. Sun actually has already spoken to Representative Amodei and asked him to defend these particular programs, but we are continuing to try and get people to also reach out to him and ask for that same thing. So this is the ask, and we will have some ways of doing this. We'll also send this out in a follow-up email, but to be specific and ask for Amodei to protect these programs, but also ask Amodei to ask leadership to protect these programs. And we know that representatives want to know why you care and want a very clear and specific ask, as well as a personal or memorable story that's related to the issue. So when you are connecting with your legislature, it's important to keep those things top of mind. And we also know that meetings are the most effective ways to make meaningful change. Also, writing to your legislature, writing a personal letter or a personal email also has a lot of impact. And even just raising these issues on social media can still make a difference as well. All right, so this is our last slide for you, and it's really a slide to see if you will take action, if you will join us in taking action during the month of March. So we are asking you to do so, and then to email us with a summary of the action you took. So you can email nevadateam@solarunitedneighbors.org. Maybe you signed a petition or wrote to your legislator via email or through Sun's website, or maybe you wrote a personal letter, or maybe you contacted them to try and get a meeting. We want to hear about anything and everything in terms of actions that you've taken to try and defend these programs. You can also join our Solar Action team in Nevada, and you can do so with that link. or you can join our Nevada Facebook group, and we'll send all of these links out as well in the follow-up email that we'll send. Any questions about the IRA or how to engage? We'll also send a link to finding your representative. Some of you may not be in Congressional District 2, some of you may be in other districts, and it's still valuable for you to contact your representative to defend these programs because there will be a vote, and we want everyone to be supportive of defending these particular programs. Great. Well, I know we have a poll that we would love for people to take before we move on. Jasmine, are you able to go ahead and pull that up right now?
Yep, 1 second.
We'll just give everyone a few minutes here. I think there's 5 questions for everyone. Jasmine, do you know if we're still waiting on anyone, or is everyone? I don't know if you can see.
Yes, everyone has completed.
Great. Thanks everyone for completing that. I realize we have an abundance of time, so thank you to joining us tonight. And if you do have any questions, I think I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes. And yeah, we just appreciate your time, and we hope that you will join us in taking action this month. And please do sign up on our website for any updates and notifications. That's the best way of staying up to date with what's happening both in the legislature and at the Public Utility Commission, and then also with what's happening with the IRA. Great. Well, thanks so much, Jess and Kyle, for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I hope you have a great evening. Again, the webinar was recorded, so that we'll be sending that out. You can take a look at it there, and we will also be sending out that follow-up email with lots of information for next steps. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.